Hey, I'm here. I'm Ryan Walter, MFL Ryan, and I have OrangeFly, Bob Flynn, as my very first guest. Super excited. Bob and I spent last, 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out how to get everything lined up, and still not even 100% sure that audio is going to be coming through. So that's my next fun task. So I was chatting with him, kind of joking, saying, what little I've tried to do, I have gained so much appreciation for the professional content creators, the Andrew Lairds, the Wen Dirks, because it just looks so smooth and so easy. And I was like, I can do this. This will be easy. I'll just load it up. I just got to come up with the questions. Props to them. They're fantastic. So, Bob, have you here? And any notes? Want to introduce yourself or say anything real quick?
Hey, go by OrangeFly in game, and I'm loving it, man. Playing at all levels, and really looking forward to chatting with you. I know there's a lot of things that are happening today specifically, so a lot's going on, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is an awesome week to kick this off. There's so much going on. There's so much content. The content space feels really full right now, which is so much fun, and I think so much fun for new users, people that are trying to get involved. And I hope I can just add a little bit. I hope we can add a little bit. You may notice a theme, but one of the questions I have on here is, where are you from?
I am from upstate New York, specifically Syracuse, New York. So, yeah, that's what the head is. It's what my new Flint team is. You know, I was fortunate enough, and I put a tweet out there that Andy, one of our buddies, actually picked it up in a starter pack and sold it to me. You know, he worked really hard to get his hometown team from Haiti last season, and he was really kind and remembered where I was from. So he ripped it, sold it to me, and now I've loaded up with a team that can compete in bronze. So I'm excited about playing Flint this year.
So I want to recap that. You have a Flint team that can recap in bronze. So those of you new users, if you end up in Bob or OrangeFly's division and you get smoked, don't feel bad. Keep playing. It'll even out. When I started, there was some God squads, and I was like, this sucks. Actually had a lot of fun, but some of those losses were painful. But that's part of the game. That's part of the fun. And I have some Syracuse or some Cuse gear on as well. When we first started chatting, it was one of the first questions I had asked you. I was like, is Syracuse orange by chance? My dad went there. I grew up in Atlanta, but I joke that I was not given a choice as to what college team I supported. I have videos, both me and my brother have videos when we are literally newborns, less than a week old, and my mom's filming in a old school camcorder, and my dad's watching. Ironically, for both of us, it's Syracuse-Georgetown, which is a huge rivalry.
Yep.
And the game's on, and you can see the game. You can see my dad watching the game. She's asking questions about parenthood. New baby, say hi to the camera, and he's like, wait till a commercial. So I joked, I was like, man, I was born into it, I never had a chance. But some fantastic highs and lows. I'm sure a lot of our sports fans will appreciate that. So
Ryan, did you end up going to the Final Four when they had it in Atlanta?
I did,
Yeah.
And we were way up in the nosebleeds, and it was a blast and an awesome experience. But there was a guy 4 rows in front of us watching the game on his iPad. That's how bad our seats were. But it was a blast to go. We rode the train in. Train was full of fans. If I'm not mistaken, I think Wichita State was in it as well. There was a ton of Wichita State fans. And I think Michigan and Louisville were the other 2 teams.
That's correct.
And
that's correct.
Fandom was fantastic. Atlanta's a bit of a blending pot. And it just was a blast. Watching the game was not the best seats, but so much fun.
Yeah, I was there too, and I got to tell you, for all of you soccer football fans out there, like, you go to a major match, you go to a World Cup match, you go to a Champions League final or something like that. If your team is in it, it is stressful.
Oh yeah.
It was the least amount of fun I've ever had going to a game for my team. And it was, I stood there with my arms crossed like this and upset the entire time. And I was fortunate. I was in like the 10th row. So I was like down there with like Dikembe Mutombo and Donovan McNabb, which are names no one on here would understand. But these are massive basketball players in the States back in the day. And these guys were stressed out too. I mean, just watching McNabb like freaking out as I was freaking out too was pretty cool. So
Yeah, McNabb's a American football player, but played JV basketball for the team, and then realized he was better at football and went from there. So, kind of a transition. One of the questions I have on here is, do you have a favorite MFL player? I think for some of the new users that sounds like a stupid question, but as you get into the game, you're like, oh, I got a guy.
I mean, it's hard for me to not say that my favorite is my ultimate, right? Like, the guy is one of the like top 20 cards in the entire game, Baracoma. And I'm glad that his transition from the cartoon to the actual character looks great. He's great. I've got a few other guys there, like the guy that's next to him on the screen that we're going to show, Quensa. He was the first legendary that I ever bought in the game. And I bought him at 80. He was an 85, and he's gone up 7 in like 3 seasons. So he's on pace to potentially hit that ultimate in a couple of years, which would be fantastic. So these are the guys that I focus a lot on. But I mean, honestly, there are some lower tier guys that I love watching. Like this this left winger from Scotland named George Sim was one of the first wingers that I ever picked up. Played on my first team, my Italian team, they call the Italian Pigs in Iron. And he's just been smashing. The problem with him is that he hasn't progressed at all. Like, and I'm playing him in the right levels and just no progression. So it's kind of breaking my heart a little bit because I would love to use this guy at higher levels, but he's capped at bronze and he's really at the low level of bronze right now too. So like, I don't know what to do. I need a big push from him. So yeah, there's a lot of guys. I mean, I'm trying to figure out who's who and what's changed and all that kind of stuff. But guys come and go, honestly. You like some of them, you sell some of them. You just kind of keep progressing, man.
Yeah, these are some of the stories, some of the things that make this game so much fun. If you look at it from an outside view, it feels very, very nerdy and input-output, and the sports fan doesn't necessarily immediately appreciate the fandom behind it. And then it starts, right? The fandom starts, and you have different guys that are your favorites for different reasons, and you're rooting for them, and you become a fan, and it feels fake. It's so hard. I never would have thought that I would have been saying, oh, I'm a fan of these teams, and the emotion follows. When my team loses in real life, I'm not as pleasant to be around. Same thing with MFL. Something that I make conscious efforts. I'm like, I can't be in a bad mood because I'm not going to explain to people that I'm in a bad mood because of a metaverse football league. I'm not ready to have those conversations yet, so I'm like, I got to put on a smile for this, which is fantastic. It's one of the reasons that makes the game so great. So one of the questions I have, very tailored towards a Syracuse fan, is, does anyone get the 44 jersey on your MFL teams?
No. I mean, why would you?
yeah. Just right? The Syracuse fandom with the lore around 44. It doesn't tie into soccer or football at all, but
yeah. So I mean, like, we can think of it in terms of like, a retired number, like a number that's like really, really important to your club. So like, obviously, so I'm Portuguese, and Diogo Jota just passed away, and Liverpool retired the number 20, which is a big, big deal. So in terms of like numbers, like we will retire United States sports teams, college teams, professional teams. We'll retire numbers to celebrate greatness.
Yeah.
And 44 has been a standard at Syracuse University that starts way back in the day with some of the greats that we've ever had. So people that don't follow American football, would not know these names. But somebody like Jim Brown became an actor, right? He was a big lacrosse player. He was one of the best lacrosse players in the world, and went on to become one of the best football players, American football players in the world. And then went on to become an actor. And like, so there's a lot of things tied into that number 44 that means a lot to people that grew up and went to school at Syracuse. And so we appreciate it. We love it. And I mean, and it's nice because it makes, honestly, if you're married or you have a spouse or a sibling or whatnot that loves Syracuse, it makes buying a gift on their 44th birthday really freaking easy. So you just buy a jersey with 44 and you're golden. So
yep, very different, but Barcelona just posted the Lamine Yamal 10 jersey, and behind him is all of the Barca 10s, and it has that kind of a heritage. Barca fans will maybe argue that it doesn't hold the same water, but it's sports fandom, right? And we can argue about it, and that's what makes this so great. So
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it comes down to like what's important to you. Like your MFL team is not important to me.
right.
My MFL team is important to me. You know what I mean? Like just and every sports club goes there. And the thing is, you can appreciate the greatness of Yamin Lamal. You can appreciate the greatness of Cristiano Ronaldo, Leo Messi. Like you can appreciate the greatness of these guys and still hate them and not cheer against them. I think that's okay. And it's one of the things that I love about sports in general. It doesn't have to be just football. It can be soccer. I mean, it could be basketball. It could be baseball. It could be cricket. But I don't know. It makes being a sports fan, one of those great things. And I joke around with my wife. She's like, why do you put up with me all the time? Because we joke around about these kind of things. Like, listen, like I'm not going anywhere. I've liked the same sports team since I was 10 years old. Like, do you really think that I'm going anywhere? I love you, dude. Like, it's like, these are the things with sports and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, yeah, we do what we do. We're guys. We're pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We say what we mean what we say. We just kind of live it, man.
The most complicated part about us is that we're not complicated.
Man, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
If I say like the grass is green, like the grass is actually green. Like it's not like off green. It doesn't need to be watered. I'm not saying anything. So no, but that's life.
I've had a couple thoughts, but one of the questions I have, and this is a super simple question, is what feels better, progression and promotion? I think we'll get different answers from different managers. I think that's what makes this question fun. I think the answer from you is straightforward. So how would you answer that question?
Progression or promotion? So for me, it's promotion. And the reason that it's promotion is because I look at it more of a long-term kind of piece. I don't look at it in the short term. Short term, and I mean, progression is also long-term as well, right? But the way I look at it is the way you know that you're doing well in MFL is winning your league, generating MFL, which is the in-game currency. So the way you do that is by doing well in the cup tournaments and by doing well in your leagues. And so I want to maximize the amount of MFL I can output. And the way I think I can most directly control that is by winning my league. So it's why I spend a lot of time doing tactics. It's why I spend a lot of time researching what other teams are doing. All of those kind of things go into giving me just the slightest of edge that will allow me to potentially win a game and then win a league. Because if I can win my gold league, I get up into platinum and then I can make more MFL in the next season. If I can advance out of and get promoted out of platinum into diamond, then all of a sudden, even a last place finish in diamond is giving me a ton of MFL, which I can turn around and turn into cash or whatever I want it to be. So I think that it's hard to separate the two though, Ryan, because if I'm going to get promoted, especially where I like to play, which is at the top end, that means that everybody is very similar to each other. I'm not getting a lot of people that are so much better playing in my platinum league. So what that means is that I'm getting progression as well as I'm trying to win the league. So with my cards, an important part of being able to keep up with the power creep and to be able to compete at that level is you need your cards to constantly improve. So my card starts at an 89, which is super freaking high, and it goes to 90 or 91 or 92 over the course of a given season. That's incredible. Like that progression allows me to progress. So they do work hand in hand together. So I think that, your question really can go more towards the lower end of the scale because of the example I gave, right? So my Syracuse team in Flint, the lowest level, I have a team that can compete, that can probably win iron. They could compete in bronze a little bit. But my goal is it's my home club team.
Yeah.
I want to push them up the ladder as fast as I possibly can because that's the team I want to put all of my resources into. But what that means is I am sacrificing any progression because my guys are going to be exponentially better than anyone I'm playing against. So what do I do, Ryan? Like what's important? And so my rationale is I want to win. I want them up higher. So I'm going to take all of my guys that got a retirement tag or around 30 years old that are not going to be long-term assets for me. And I threw them down into that team. So I'm just like, I'm not worried about these guys progressing. They're not going to impact my gold team, my platinum team, even my bronze team, really, right? So I'm going to use these as the tools and assets that they are to push me up the ladder faster.
That's a really interesting point. When I was looking through your teams, I missed that completely. Um,
Yeah, you can filter on age. I think like the youngest guy on that team is like 28, 29, something like that.
all
So, and that was done purposefully.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good note, and I like that a lot. I want this show to talk about tactics and strategy, and particularly some of the smaller stuff. I think we learn the big stuff fast, and then the difference between a manager in the 50th percentile and the 70th percentile is going to be a couple of things, and then once you get from like the 90th to like the 99th and the 99th to 100, it's going to be really, really small stuff that's being the skill gap. So you pointed something out. I want to draw some attention to this. Finishing bottom in a league is worse than finishing top in the league below it. So the winner in Spark gets more MFL than the winner in Ice. And there has been some strategies that we've heard talking about just buying high teams to lose on purpose. And there's been some really creative ideas around that. It's still better to win the league than lose at the higher league. I think understanding this chart is important. And then cup games come into this. So having a full-fledged strategy is really important. And I think that's what differentiates managers. It's one of the things that I'm hoping to learn as I have conversations with some different managers, better managers, and then just get outside of my thinking, right? Bring some different ideas and be like, oh shit, I never thought of that. Let me see if I can improve my thought process and improve that. And I hope some of the viewers will get some of these as well.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up because these are strategies. And like the idea here is that I would rather win my league, right? I'd rather win my league and then have a chance to move up.
Yep.
If I don't improve my team at all and I use exactly the same team, there's a higher probability that I'm going to get relegated next season because that's just how scaling works, right? But I still have a season of winning my league and then coming in relegation area and getting about the same or close to the amount of MFL that I'm getting from my other team that I just won with. And you could sit on that precipice. You know, you can sit between iron and bronze for like 5 seasons, just go back and forth, pinging back and forth. Win iron, relegate bronze. Win iron, relegate bronze. Win iron, stay up in bronze. Like, and that's what a lot of people will do. And that's what a lot of like regular clubs are going to do too, because the question comes down to what kind of financial and card investment do you need to put in if you want to continue to progress? And it's one of the things that I've basically wiped out of the equation with my Syracuse team, taking all of my oldies that are going to retire, and I can leave them in there all the way until I get up to iron. And like those guys will not progress, but they will still do well enough to allow me to keep pushing my team up. And I take that, and I'm not considering the MFL impact of them yet because I have a stated goal. And I think that one thing that's important for newer users to think about is don't have 3 different goals you're trying to simultaneously achieve in a new game. Set a goal that you think is realistic and focus on that goal. Because if you say, I'm okay getting relegated, and then you're right at the relegation point as the midseason comes around and you're like, I don't want to get relegated now, and I dumped $400 to add like 3 new players and add them to my team, that's not helping you. It might help you stay up and fight that relegation, but you're still putting in more money that you didn't want to put in, that you could have put in at the start of the season, which would have gotten you completely out of relegation to start with. So like it's a balance. And I would say that focus where you want to go and try to think about and ask people in the community like what they do. There are a lot of good people in this community, like Ryan, like myself, that are willing to take DMs and just answer questions because we're obviously passionate about the game. We want other people to be passionate about the game too.
Yeah. Yep. The community has been fantastic. And every time I tested it, it just gets better. Every time I'm like sending a DM trying to get a loan or trying to ask for advice, or a lot of times I'm bitching about the engine because I lost, but I'm asking for feedback on stuff, and it's been fantastic. And there's a lot of bigger names that I would have thought, they're going to be private. They're going to have a lot of bandwidth where people are reaching out to them, and they've been great. So yeah, reach out, build connections and partnerships. Yep.
I'm glad you said that, Ryan, because I think that it's a point that is missed by a lot of people, and it will really drive whether or not you have fun in the game. Try if you want to really have fun and immerse yourself, you have to become part of the community. It's a necessary part. And one of the things that you and I were talking about the other day was how difficult it is to get loans.
Yeah.
What happens if you become part of the community, become a well-known person on Discord, or you're interacting with Jimbo and Calvin in their live streams, or you're sending people like me or anybody else a DM, you become a known quantity within the game. And we're going to respond to you. We're going to talk to you. Like, I'm not the highest of the levels, but I'm closer to the top than most people you're going to talk to. But at the same time, I want to know what other people are thinking too, because it's not like I'm just playing at the top. I have my Flint teams. I like playing Spark. I like playing those leagues because I don't know what's going to happen. And it's really exciting. And I mean, I loaded that one Flint team, but I also have another Flint team that's just kind of there to have fun with. You know what I mean? And that's the nice thing about this game. And the more you talk to people, the more you'll be able to recognize when guys are sitting out there on the loan market. You're like, hey, you know what? I know who OrangeFly is. He's got these guys listed for scouting. What if I DM him? He knows me. Like, maybe he'll just loan to me straight out. I'll get a good percentage on him. And the answer is almost always yes. Like, that's usually how it goes, because when it comes to loaning and stuff like that, you see a lot of people on there that are just like, I want 20% for a guy in ice that's not very good. Yeah. And not very good is relative, right? But it's not smart to take 5 loans at 20% because you have no rev share left. So you can't do that. You have to be reasonable. And once you become a little bit established in the community and you read through Discord, you pay attention to the chats, you'll figure out, like, who knows what they're talking about. You know, look at some of the past list of guests that the When Dirt guys have had. It'll give you an idea of people that kind of are willing to talk and willing to go through and give ideas. And so I think that the more you become immersed, the better the community becomes. The more people are willing to look out for you and help you too and become invested in you. And, you know, the main example I can use is one of our buddies in Discord, Aaron. I have given him the same player for like 3 straight seasons, and he's taken him from like 66 to 75, and now he's playing him and starting him in Iron. Like, when Aaron asks for a guy for a loan, my answer is always yes. Always yes. And I think I give guys to Aaron before I even set up my teams, because I know Aaron is doing good. He takes care of my players and they progress with him. So it's the stuff like that that really makes a difference between how well you're going to play and how well the community can be with you.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was Palmer I was listening to on the Ramblecast said kind of the same thing. Said that he'll send out messages to guys at the end of the season and be like, you took care of this guy. If you want him back, you can have him back. And that's awesome. I've had loans, I think every year, every season, and I've always prioritized that. So it's been fantastic. So one of the questions I had, going a little off, is, well, let me back up a little bit. So really wanted to kind of break the show into 2 pieces, or 2 general fundamental ideas. One was getting to meet managers, and then a second piece was kind of getting into tactics, getting into the X's and O's. And we're in the off season, obviously, so we're not going to be able to kind of break down game script, but I think we can still have some good discussions around it, some good discussions around theory and what we've learned. So one of the questions I had on here was, is there a tactic that you want added? Something that you feel like, hey, that's missing. I want to be able to control my team with that sort of a tactic.
I mean, I'm not at that level of knowledge. Like, I'd like more tweaks. Like, I'd love to be able to play inverted fullbacks, but I don't know how you set that up or program that. That's just like, that's not the kind of programming that I do, right? I don't know about other formations. Like, I'd like more options to play multiple cams or multiple CDMs that are not just like stuck in, you know, the 4-2-2 type of formation with 2 cams. Right? I'd love to be able to use them because they're fun. They're not great, but they're fun, you know. But the more exotic formations you get, the more difficult it gets to manage. I mean, honestly, like, the one thing that I would love more than anything is just to get rid of 5 at the back altogether. I can't stand playing it. It's no fun. So I'm not good at beating it. That's really what it comes down to. But no, I wouldn't ask for anything more. I mean, I just think that tactics in general, I've heard a lot of people say they don't matter, and a lot of people say that they do matter. I can tell you that the lower down on the tier you are, so Flint, Spark, like those areas, if your team is considerably better, like the Saltine Warriors that you have there, like I can just basically put anything out there and it should run over anybody. It should run over anybody. Like there's not a lot of tactics that are going to make up that difference. I get that. But once you get up to, iron and bronze, teams start getting a lot closer in their overall ratings. And then their individual stats become the main driving factor of how well you can do. And then tactics really start to matter. And so, I mean, one example I can use is I've never been great with my 3-5-2. But there's a manager named Finn in the game who is an expert with his 3-5-2. And he absolutely ran over our bronze league. And he has very specific things that he does. And so that's the kind of guy that I want to pick his brain. Like, how do you do this? Like, what do you do? Like, what has made it work for you? Because repetition is like the kindest form of flattery. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I want to mimic what is known to work. Like, if Ronan like took me off to the side and told me how he makes his 4-1-2-1-2 narrow work, I would be over the moon, right? But I don't know. So I have to play with it. I have to guess. I have to figure those things out. And when you do it, like eventually you'll figure something out, but it's never exactly the same way. So like it's a balance. And I think tactics in general, Ryan, I don't need more added. I just want things to be a little bit smoother. I want things to make sense from a played perspective. And you might hear me complaining about the engine and stuff like that. We can get into that later. But it's not that I'm complaining about the engine. It's the fact that, as Matsuyama said on the Ramble Pod the other day, I'm like, your pro golfer that hit a bad shot and is really pissed off at himself and he's blaming everybody else for it for a little bit. And then on the next one, I was like, oh, no big deal. We go again. And that's what life is in general, right? Like there's ups and downs. Like, I blow a 3-goal lead, with 20 minutes left in the match. Like that makes no sense in my mind. But then I think back, like that's never happened before. Then I think back to UCL finals when Liverpool came back from like 4-0 down. So these things do happen. Like even the best players in the world, it can happen. And that's what variance is.
Yeah.
Does it suck that variance happens to you? Yeah, but that's life. You've won plenty of those games that you shouldn't have won. And I just look back at my earlier games in the season, like, you know what? I should not have won that. So, we chalk it up. It is what it is. Everything works out in the end.
Yeah, I was kind of joking that I went through the 5 stages of grief with my my Stone team. I got relegated, and I went through the bargaining phase where I said, well, maybe the ice teams won't come up for some reason, and then I got angry and I complained on Twitter, and then finally acceptance hit, and I said, all right, I gotta plan for next year. I may have a couple of guys that are probably better loaned out than used in ice, and I want to go for a promotion run. I got promoted out of ice 2 or 3 seasons back, and really enjoyed the promotion run, and then was fighting for bottom of table at Stone for a couple of seasons, and I'm ready to make that change, go back for the promotion run, and then figure out how to start winning in Stone.
That's awesome, man. Because like, did you have more fun fighting for the win in ice versus trying to stay out of relegation in Stone? Like, what was more fun for you? What was more exciting? Because both have different types of stress and pressures.
Yeah, both, and for different reasons. So the kind of simplistic joy was more fun in ice, and kind of navigating and learning. I really like learning, and it's one of the reasons I have so much fun in MFL is there's so much to learn. But kind of learning some of those different pieces. I've chatted with you a bit. I've chatted with Kev, and trying to figure out how do I stay out of relegation. And I think I changed too many things. You made a comment earlier. I was trying to remember what it was, but I had too much moving, too much going on, and I think I had too many ideas and too many implications, and I made mistakes. And I want to learn the engine a little better. I want to learn tactics a little bit better, and try and learn how I can make better decisions around tactics. Learn how I can make better decisions around like setting my team up. Two different takeaways, but back-to-back years, I've had a point in the middle of the season where I'm like, I want to make this change, and I can't. I was kind of stuck into a 4-3-3, and then I really wanted to press last year. I really wanted to test pushing up higher and pressing. My midfielders just didn't have the individual stats. And I tried to make it work, and it was bad. And I was like, well, that's not the right tactic, but I think that might be what the team needs right now. And I'm like, I'm stuck. So how much of tactics are done in the preseason for you? How much of it is team building, and where you're like very specifically looking at like, hey, this is a 4-3-3 team, or this is a high pressing team, where you're looking at very specific stats, and how much of tactics are week to week for you?
All tactics are game to game. I have done enough testing this preseason to know what my main formations are going to be. I have a plan for what those main formations are going to be. I also know what my rotation formations are going to look like as well. And so with rotations, I don't like carrying 2 left backs and 2 right backs. So what that means is I need some sort of 3 at the back formation that's going to allow me to rotate those 2 wing backs, right? So I have to make a decision. There's not a lot of options, right? There's the 3-5-2. There's the 3-5-2B. You have your 3-4-3, your 3-4-3 diamond. Like, there's not a ton of options that are out there. So with the 3-4-3, 3-4-3 diamond, you have to have wingers. So now I said, I don't want to carry an extra left back and an extra right back, but I'm adding a left wing and a right wing, right? So, like, these are the kind of things that I would say for a new user, you have to think about. I mean, I think that's really getting down to it. Like, if that first pack you open has a left wing or a left back or a right wing or a right back, you kind of opening up where you can actually start looking to play, if that makes sense. Like, because I don't want to be adding extra pieces if I don't need to. So, like, do you want to play with wingers? Yes or no? If no, you don't worry about left wing and right wing. You just don't do it. You don't need it. Like, you want to play with 2 strikers up front? Fantastic. 1 striker up front? Fine. They're going to be on their own, but you're going to be able to do it. So these are important things to try to figure out. And, I ask myself constantly, is it better just to carry 2 left backs? Just give me a thumbs up and I'll get going.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, like, when it comes down to, like, your wings, like, are they worth having? Is it worth playing? And, like, my question that I try to answer for myself is, and I've already said I like having, my left back and my right back, but I don't like carrying 2 of them. So the option is with 3 at the back, I could do, like I said, a 3-5-2, 3-5-2B. But if I do a 3-5-2, that means I don't really need to add more players. If I do a 3-5-2B, I need a secondary CDM as well. So I'm like, well, I'm going to be adding someone somewhere outside of one formation. And I've already said before that I'm not great at 3-5-2. So, like, why do I run that? So I rationalize in my head, like, I have this left wing that's kind of sitting here. Maybe I'll go out and try to get a loan for a right wing, because then I have complete flexibility with my team. Because I think flexibility is one thing that you don't realize you actually kind of need, right? And the higher up the ladder you go, the more you realize you're kind of playing, formation, rock, paper, scissors at times. Some formations will beat others. So I spend a lot of my time going game to game, and this is why I say it's game to game as well. I have my set tactics, but every game I have a new manager that I'm very well versed with what they do and how they do it. But I also know that they know what I'm going to do as well. So they are actively working to counter me. So one of the worst players for me to play is Big Wilbert. Like, he's excellent at the game, but he changes his formations constantly. And he and I always butt heads, and we run into each other. And I think that we're like 50-50 with each other for most parts, because sometimes he picks the right formation that counters my counter formation. And sometimes I do too. Like, and it's actually makes it kind of fun. Then you open up and like, wait, I was not expecting this. Like, where did your 4-3-3 come from? Like, I didn't even know that you ran this. I'm expecting you in a 5-4-1. And it's like, these are the fun things that I enjoy in the game, but I like having the flexibility. And I think it matters more the higher up the ladder you go, because like I said, formations tend to matter quite a bit the higher up you are. And so those formations do matter though, because the individual stats that people are getting mean a lot. The formation metas could say that, 4-3-3-D is going to dominate a 3-5-2 or whatever it may be. I don't know if that's, you don't know, right? Yeah. But I know that if I'm playing Finn's 3-5-2, I need a lot of help. It doesn't really matter what formation I'm running. I know what he's going to try to do. I have to try to figure out how to counter it. So that means for that match, I have to do something unique and different to try to stop where he's coming from. It's like, those are the fun things as you get higher up that you try to figure out, because the range of users drastically decreases the higher up the ladder you go. There's in Platinum and Diamond, there are 25 total managers between the three divisions, 30 maybe. It's not that big. A lot of us have multiple teams in those divisions. So you kind of get an understanding of how people run their team and what they want to do. And this is why the top is stressful. I don't ever watch the matches when I play them at the top. I catch a replay and I just go to the end because it's too stressful. But it's also why playing in Flint, playing in Spark, playing in Ice, Stone, those are so much fun. Those are the games that I watch the most. And I'm like, yo, what just happened? And so I love playing the lower end of the tournament, because people there are just as passionate, if not more, than I am at the top end. And it's great. And the example I always will use is, if you watched Andrew Laird's promotion video for his match with Empire FC the other day, it was incredible.
I watched it live, incredible. And I was locked in. That was so much fun. And I don't think any of that's fake. I think that is all real. And I hope we've all been there. I hope we've all had that emotional roller coaster and won at the end, because losing at the end feels so much worse. But I was there live. That was fantastic.
But that's what I'm talking about. You know what? We spend money on these teams and we spend time on these teams, but that right there, it wasn't even my team. I didn't have anybody on his team, but watching that made the entire season great for me, right? It's just a simple thing, but watching somebody truly be happy about it is awesome. Maybe it's just because I'm older. I like when other people do well and they're happy, but it was fun, man. And that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. It shouldn't feel like a job. It's ho-hum. I won another match. Woe is me. But the excitement was there. And honestly, I lost a playoff match to a team that I should have beat to get out of Spark and into Ice. But I messaged him, dude, congratulations, man. That was incredible. You won in the PKs. He was like, man, honestly, I had no business winning that. When I got that tying goal in extra time, I was freaking out. I was like, that's awesome, dude. Congratulations. I really wish you the best. Well done. And no hard feelings, but that's what the game is all about.
Yeah, I like that the divisions should flow into each other as well. So hypothetically, if you get promoted this year, if he stays up or they stay up, you should meet them next year as well. So hopefully you can meet back. I've had a couple teams that my Clone Crusaders team has been in the same division, and they don't know me and I don't know them, but I kind of have an internal rivalry that I'm like, I got them last year. They hurt me. I knew that if I had a good run to close, I could be in the promotion race, and your loss kind of fixed me into mid-table. So those little pieces are great.
Well, they create those in-game rivalries.
Yeah.
And I have one of those with a guy that I talk to all the time now, and a guy that I actually loaned my ultimate to, Freshioco. He's in Diamond, and my first season, and I played in Iron, and he had an Iron team in there. And we went back and forth, and we were fighting each other, and it was fun. And then in my Gold division, he was there as well. And we have stayed every time we go up, he comes up the next season, or I come up the next season, and we're continually betting each other. And every single league that we're always in, we're always going back and forth with each other. And it's absolutely fantastic. And I mean, the ultimate would be, if I ever get on the Platinum, I can get to Diamond, actually play him in Diamond would be the cherry on top of it. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that. And you become friends with these people. You talk to them, you get ideas, you get feedback, And it just makes it really cool. It gives it a different level of the game that I wasn't expecting when I first started.
Yeah, for sure, and that's one of the things that's pushed me to dump so much more time into the game, because I've enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. So going into tactics a little bit more and some of the learnings and takeaways, when you're looking at game to game, are you scouting individual players on the other team, individual lines? Are you looking and saying, hey, this person seems to be playing controlled? And do you feel like there's a rock, paper, scissors there where you're like, hey, if they're controlled, then I need to be pressing, or I need to not be pressing? What are some of those learnings that you've had?
I am looking at, number one, the owner. And I'm looking at their handful of games that they've recently had. Because, I know that certain owners are going to run certain formations. Like, I know that when I face Ronan, odds are he's going to be in a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. The question is, how do I counter a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow?
Yeah.
So I try my best to figure that out, right? Like, is my 4-1-2-1-2 narrow able to compete with Ronan's? And the answer is almost always no, right? So you have to find other ways around it, right? And so I'm looking at the specific players. I'm trying to figure out if they will need to rotate, what they will rotate into, what players they will use, how they will move guys around, where I can take advantage. Then I'll make subtle adjustments to my teams. I typically won't adjust my depth and my lines too much, because it's really easy to forget and to really mess things up when it comes down to that. I'm usually looking for attitudes of my players. So, like, I like to play more aggressive with my midfield. I have some slow guys in midfield that are just like built like tanks. And I want them to be that tank when I'm facing certain guys. And I want other guys to be able to overlap and cover. So, like, if I'm playing a fast left winger, I want my right midfielder to be able to handle him physically, right? I want my right winger to be able to be pressing up him so he can't go running free constantly. Like, I want to put a little bit more pressure on that right side, which forces him to stay back. So typically, if I know the opponent likes to push him forward and attack from his side, I'm going to attack right down that side and try to catch him out of position, right? I'm going to try to take advantage of those certain areas. And so those are the kind of things that I'm looking at. I'm trying to figure out what my defense is doing. Like, when I build my team, I don't always build my team. I mean, sometimes it's, especially at, platinum and higher, gold, platinum, it's hard to like, you know what? I need a super pacey left mid to make this team that much better. Like, okay, that's great. Well, that is a 90 left mid that's going to cost you $2,000, which is unrealistic, right? Like, that's not a reality. Whereas in Flint, I'm like, you know what? I need a kind of pacey left mid that's going to help me really push this team over for my 3-5-2. I'm like, oh, there's a nice 48 guy there that's a 78 pace, way faster than everybody else. Let's go get him for $3.
Yeah.
Like, there's a big difference between the two. So when the options narrow, you have to look for specific things. And for me, a lot of the high end of the game, the defensive side, a lot of it comes down to being able to pass and be able to have pace, right? So you don't want guys going over the top. You don't want guys turning the ball over, because those turnovers turn into goals automatically when you have somebody that's shooting over 95 at you, right? So that's what I'm looking for when I'm trying to create my defense, when I'm trying to find guys that can meet those needs, and when I'm looking for loans. So defense is where I spend more of my time. My strikers are kind of my strikers. Like, I think, unfortunately for me, my strikers are a little too similar right now. They're both like 93 pace, 97 shooting type guys. Like, oh, well, woe is me. Life is hard. But they're a little bit too similar, right? So they don't always work well together. So I'm figuring out, do I want a slower pace? Do I want my third striker to be a slower paced guy that's going to basically hold his position and be a target man? Then one of my fast shooters, like, run off of him. So, like, am I looking for like my 85 paced striker? Just let him chill there. So, like, this is what I try to figure out when I'm finalizing where my teams will look like. And the thing is, I'm talking about the plat and diamond level because, like, that's where I'm spending the most time. But I do exactly the same at every single level where I play. So I like having these balances. I like having these options, to go there and to do what I need to do.
I want to call out that idea a little bit about the two strikers.
Yep.
I heard, I think it was when, I might butcher his name, Alexis, the gentleman that does MFL assistant, MFL coach, was on Wendirk, and I think he was talking about Jimbo's team and was talking about having that second striker have a little bit higher of a passing stat. And I know Jimbo was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. And I was like, ooh, like click, like hadn't thought about that. Hadn't thought about a one striker set versus a two striker set. And you're talking about that idea, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe that primary striker, that shooting striker, the one striker is like the shooter with the pace, and maybe he's on low position flexibility. And then maybe the second guy's on high position. You kind of have him as almost like the comeback, beat the ball, and then push the ball forward kind of a guy. Yep.
Cool. Yeah. As far as like the passing goes, I think that with two striker formations, you need some sort of separation between the two. So one of the things I've been testing is that I have a slower pace guy with 97 shooting on one of my strikers, and I have my 95 pace guy with 85 shooting at my other ones. So I jack the position freedom way down on the guy that's slower that can shoot, way high on the guy that's faster, and I captain the guy that's faster and passes better. So this is key. So when you get your captain bonus, you obviously you get +1 pace and +2 shooting if you captain a striker.
Yep.
But I want the +2 for my guy that is going to be the faster one, that is going to be passing, because I want to increase his passing as well. I want those stats to be bumped up to feed my main guy as we go through there. So I really want to focus on the guy that's going to help create the most. And what I saw, I did this a lot in silver last year. And so this is almost exactly how I set my teams up. And what I found is that my pacey guy that didn't have as much shooting was able to run off of the slower guy that was a higher shooter, pick up rebounds, and score a lot of goals. And I think combined between the two of them, they scored like 55 goals. My guy that was like standing there and didn't do a lot scored 27, and my other guy scored like 28 or something like that. Like, so my pacey guy won the Golden Boot by a goal, and my team was just scoring like mad. And so these things do work. And I think that what it comes down to, though, is which guy do you captain? Which guy do you captain, and what are you hoping to achieve by captaining them? Because there are a lot of questions that come down to it. And some people captain their goalkeeper because they just want the bump on them, the +2 defense, the entire team. And I'll do that if I'm playing a 5 at the back, which I refuse to play. I like speed when I play. I want better passing. I want those kind of things because I still want to see a beautiful tiki-taka pass back and forth that's going to get me that goal,
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that I was kind of wrapping my head around last season was I think tactics are a triangle. And I think it's formation, player stats, and then some of those other little pieces, right? So who are you playing against and how does that work? I think too often people think of it in a very linear way. We're saying like, hey, my guy has good shooting. And they should just be scoring a lot of goals, and then they're off target a lot. Because I was there a lot last year, and I'm like, he's got good shooting. Why is he always off target? And I'm not beating people I should be beating. Some of that little tinkering, I think, is a huge takeaway. I did big tinkering last year. I'm like, this doesn't work. Let me go to the other end. And I got out of sorts. I was doing that mid-season, too. I think that's okay maybe in preseason as you're trying to get your bearings, but, like, mid-season, that was just bad. It was a bad idea. I think
that's a great point, Ryan. I think it's really important for any new user. Make one adjustment and then test it. One small adjustment and test it, because, one of the things that I first like to do is I want to make sure that my defense is sound. So if I'm in a 4-3-3 attack, I want to make sure that my defense is going to hold them as low possible, like XG and shots on goal, as I can. It's the first thing I do. So I'm messing with depth, I'm messing with width, like all compactness, all of those kind of things, and the different types of guys I have in there, individual tactics all the way through. I want to be able to stop you at the back end.
Yeah.
I then will focus on scoring my goals. I'll then figure out how I'm going to, like, what individual tactics I have my wingers, how wide they need to be, like what I need to do with my center mid. Like all of those things will come secondarily to stopping the goals first. And so like that's what I'm kind of looking at. And you have to understand that when you're stopping goals, your midfielders really play a huge role in it. Because so really what you're looking at is, how do I set up my guys to be defensively sound but still creatively strong enough to get the ball forward? You know, is that risky passing? Is that cross more? Is that dribble more? What is that? Like, what do I need to do? And so I think it's worth breaking it into pieces and chunks and figuring out part of it and then working on the other. Because, you know, your width, depth, and compactness based on your formation makes a world of difference. And sometimes less is more. When I've done what you did, Ryan, made drastic changes and realized that I was terrible doing it, and I just cleared all individual instructions and just ran some tests, like, oh my gosh, I'm so much better doing nothing. Like, let the AI make the choices for me, you know? So.
Yep. All right, I'm going to pivot. We could talk about tactics forever, and we will. We'll talk about them all season long. So I realized two things. One, the big thing this week, obviously, is all the announcements and stuff going on. And I buried the lead, and I didn't mean to. So I went to ChatGPT and asked what makes a great stream, and it said just open packs. So I got a pack yesterday. I held back, and I saw a lot of Legos on stream, so I'm expecting a Lego. I'm in the group now, right? So we'll open, and then I want to get your. I guess while we're watching, we can talk a little bit. What do you think of the new models, the new looks, the new images?
I mean, they're fine. Like this is from my perspective. Like I've run some businesses, I've done stuff like this. Like there is some sort of math that was done by Matt and the team that said we need to do this to get more people in. And if that's the case, like fine. Like this doesn't change how the game plays to me. So like it doesn't have a big impact on me who's already committed to the game. So, you know, if it's bringing more people, like well done, guys. Well done. Like the only thing that I want is I really want my guys that were African American or like, you know, different color skin tone. I don't want them to be white, which they are now, which really bothers me. So like, I'll ask for a lot of them to be changed back to like what they actually looked like in their actual player models, because I've got guys that I have loved that all of a sudden just like swapped races. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't like that much.
Yeah, I know that we fell in love with some different characteristics, whether it was a headband or a neck tattoo or green hair. And we lost some of that, and I don't love that because we started to appreciate the certain characteristics, and I think they said they kind of had to start from scratch, and we'll see. I kind of liked the cartoony feel. I kind of liked the creation that they had that felt very unique to this. And I was like, they're fine. I liked what we had. It was unique to the game. And I started to change my mind last night. I was doing some friendlies, and one of the new models scored a goal. I really like the new look when they pop up. And I'm really excited about the idea to do custom jerseys, interviews, and some of the other stuff that they've teased for future use. So I'm still holding judgment a little bit, but I like this concept a lot. Yep.
You are super echoey. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like these player models look good, man. I mean, I don't have any sort of tie to these guys. You know what I mean? Like, these guys look good. Got a 19-year-old CDM. Love it, man. So that is a card that I would love to use on one of my teams. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually a card that I need on my ice team. It's my ice or my stone team. I can't remember which one. But yeah, it's I mean, it's cool. You know, if I didn't know what the cards looked like before, I'd have no issue with it. You know, I will ask for some of them to be reconfigured to be actually looking like what they were before, because like, the Rambo legend Timmy Vaughn, who was this like
Yeah.
bald-headed guy, striker, black guy with big eyes, is just like a random boring white dude now. Like, that's not him. Like, that's not Timmy. Like, no, not at all. So
It feels a bit like when you read a book and then it becomes a movie. The Harry Potter series is one thing that comes to my mind, and you just have this person in your head, this model in your head, and then you see them in the movie and you're like, they got it wrong. And it's like, what do you mean? It's just in your imagination. And it's not that they look right or wrong. It's kind of that when we've attributed a thought behind them that we're like, that's what they're supposed to look like. So I think that's funny. I hope it all works out, but
it's all minor, man. I mean, it's all minor. Like I said, if this brings in, it increases user growth, then fantastic. Like, it doesn't change anything at all for how the game plays. The question that I ask from a business perspective is like, what did it cost to do this? You know what I mean? Like, where do we pull resources from? That's always the question I ask, So They look good. I like having these stats on the front of the card. It's all very clear and good there. There's a lot of things that look clean and crisp, and I get a couple of them redone, so they look a little bit different, look more like their cartoonish version. Like, that's great. I'm usually less worried about a metaverse game without real people. I think that the cartoons made them interesting, but I also think that we heard in a pod from Matt's or someone before that, like, when you show like 100 people, like, they all hate the cartoonish aspects of the cards. So like, that would be a thing that would stop them from buying it. I'm like, okay. I mean, if that's what the data shows, then great. Like, I hope that we actually see a bump up because of the changes. You know what I mean? And so you have to actually put the boots on the ground and see what happens. And honestly, it doesn't hurt the game in any way, shape, or form. So, more power to the team. They put a lot of work into it. If I can request specific guys be changed back to what they looked like before, I'll do that.
Yeah. Awesome. The dev team is fantastic. I think that I'm excited and encouraged that we have the people that we have in place. So we'll close there. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to work on getting all this put together, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. Feel free to give suggestions, ideas. I think it's apparent that I am learning, going through some stuff, and would love to hear about what people want to hear about. I want to love to hear about kind of how will we make this for the community and how we have some fun here. So thank you so much.
Yeah.